There comes a time in every man's life when he must ask himself, what will remain when I am gone? Not the question of how long he will live, nor how much he will accumulate, but what trace of his existence will continue to speak after his voice is silenced. For years I measured success by the height of my enterprises, the profit of my ventures, the expansion of my mills. Yet as the seasons advanced, I came to see that true triumph lies not in what one possesses, but in what one leaves behind. Building a legacy beyond oneself is the most sacred of undertakings. It demands that a man lift his eyes above the horizon of his own comfort and fix them upon the generations yet unborn. Wealth, influence, and power are transient. Character, vision, and service are enduring. I have seen mighty businesses crumble and entire industries fade into dust, but I have never seen an act of genuine good disappear. Its ripples move outward forever. When I was a young clerk, scribbling figures by lamplight, I dreamed only of freedom from poverty. To a boy who had known hunger, money seemed the surest promise of security. But when fortune at last came, I learned that wealth alone is a barren field unless it is cultivated for the benefit of others. A man may fill his coffers and still die impoverished of spirit. Only when he plants seeds that grow beyond his own lifetime does he truly begin to live richly. The first step toward legacy is purpose. One must ask, why do I labor? If the answer ends with one's own name, the effort is too small. The desire to provide for family is noble, but the greater vision is to provide for humanity. Every enterprise worth its salt should contain within it a spark of service. Even the most ordinary occupation can become extraordinary when directed toward a higher aim. I recall the day I resolved that my wealth should serve others. It was not an act of charity, but of stewardship. The riches entrusted to me were not mine to hoard, but mine to distribute wisely. I came to see myself as a custodian, charged with returning to society that which society had made possible. And so I asked, how might I use these resources so that they would continue to bear fruit long after I was gone? The answer took form in institutions, not indulgences, in libraries, foundations, and halls of learning. A single dollar spent on luxury dies with the purchase. A dollar spent on knowledge lives forever. The library became to me a symbol of immortality through service. Each volume placed upon its shelves is a seed of enlightenment. I could not know who would read those books, but I knew that somewhere, someday, a mind would awaken, and that awakening would in turn awaken others. A true legacy, you see, is not carved in marble, but written in lives. The statue may weather, the endowment may change hands, but the influence of an idea or an example endures. When a man gives his life to principle, he transfers a part of his spirit into the fabric of civilization. I have often thought that every kind act, every honest word, every vision shared becomes a sort of inheritance we bequeath to mankind. But let us not mistake legacy for fame. Many seek remembrance, few seek impact. The first craves applause, the second aspires to meaning. To be known is trivial. To be useful is divine. A legacy worth leaving is one that continues to serve, even when no one remembers the name of its founder. The bridge that carries travelers safely across a river may bear no inscription, yet its builder has changed countless lives. Nor is legacy confined to the wealthy or powerful. The teacher who ignites curiosity in a single child, the craftsman who perfects his work and teaches others his skill, the mother who raises her children in virtue, all build legacies of immeasurable worth. Influence does not depend upon fortune, it depends upon intention. Every soul leaves a wake behind it, and the direction of that wake is determined by the purpose steering it. One of the gravest errors a man can make is to delay the work of legacy until old age. He says, "When I am secure, when I have leisure, then I shall give thought to the future." But the future is built today, brick by brick. The habits of one's youth become the monuments of one's maturity. If a man hoards through life, generosity will not suddenly blossom in his final years. Therefore, begin early to invest in others, your wisdom, your time, your resources. The smallest stream, begun soon enough, becomes a mighty river. Legacy also requires courage. To build beyond oneself is to defy the tyranny of the present. It demands that we act upon visions others may not yet see. When I proposed endowing libraries across America, some said it was folly, that ordinary citizens had no use for books. Yet I had faith that knowledge would awaken aspiration. And indeed, those libraries became the seed beds of ambition for countless souls. Often the path to legacy is lonely at first. Only later do others recognize its worth. Another essential of legacy is principle. Wealth and power are fragile foundations. Only integrity can support the weight of time. I have watched men of enormous influence see their reputations dissolve because their conduct was built on selfishness. Fortune cannot defend a dishonest legacy. The surest way to ensure that one's work endures is to anchor it in truth. When motives are pure, their fruits are lasting. And consider this: every generation inherits not only wealth and inventions, but also values. When we choose integrity over expediency, humility over pride, cooperation over competition, we hand down a moral fortune. We become ancestors of character as well as of blood. The example you set today is the blueprint by which others will build tomorrow. Many people assume that building a legacy means grand acts, foundations, monuments, institutions. Yet I have learned that the quiet influence of a single life, well lived, may do more good than any marble edifice. The memory of an honest merchant who treated every man fairly, or of a leader who listened before he commanded, can outlast empires. The human heart remembers righteousness longer than history records riches. You might ask, how shall I begin? Begin with the sphere nearest you. Improve your home, your trade, your community. The man who uplifts one street has done as noble a deed as he who transforms a nation. Great legacies grow outward from small circles of faithfulness. The hand that lifts one person today sets in motion a chain that may reach 1,000. As you build, do so with an eye toward continuity. Plan your enterprises so that they do not depend solely upon your presence. Train successors, document your methods, share your vision. Many brilliant undertakings perish because they are tied to one man's will. The wise builder constructs systems that others can sustain. The truest measure of leadership is not how well things run when you are present, but how well they continue when you are gone. I remember visiting a school that bore my name many years after its founding. The principal greeted me warmly, but the children did not know who I was. For a moment I felt a pang of vanity, then a greater joy. My name was forgotten, but the work endured. The building stood full of eager students, the mission alive and thriving. That, I realized, is the perfect legacy. When your purpose lives on, detached from your identity. A legacy, too, must be alive. It must grow. Do not attempt to control it from beyond the grave. Set principles in motion, not rigid rules. The world evolves, and so must the instruments of good you leave behind. A foundation should be guided by spirit, not frozen by statute. When we trust future generations with freedom, we honor them with responsibility. Above all, remember that legacy is built upon love, the love of progress, of humanity, of truth. Without that, all monuments are hollow. Love gives permanence to work, it animates institutions and breathes life into memory. If your motive is love, your influence will not fade. My own life taught me that the richest satisfaction lies not in possessing, but in creating. Every man is an architect of eternity when he builds with the materials of service. Ask yourself not, "What will I have?" but, "What will I leave?" The answer to that question defines the measure of your days. And when at last the years have taken their toll, when strength declines and the time comes to lay down one's tools, may you look upon the structure you have built, not of stone or steel, but of hearts touched and minds awakened, and know that it will stand. Then, and only then, can a man depart in peace, certain that though his body rests, his spirit works still.